Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about The Expanse, Season 3, Episode 5. It's called Triple Point. Full spoilers for the episode, as always. And we have to start this one with some unfortunate news. I don't know, yeah, I wasn't sure if you'd seen this yet or not.
I have.
Season 3 is... Cancel doesn't feel like the right word given the context of this one, but Season 3 of The Expanse is the last one that will be on SyFy. That is the 100% fact at this point in time. It is worth mentioning, though, that Alcon, who wholly financed the show, they license it out, they make money from SyFy, SyFy licensed the show from them, but Alcon actually produce it themselves entirely. And they've already said immediately, we are taking this elsewhere, so there's a reasonable chance that we'll... I mean, I feel like 10 years ago when something was cancelled and they said, oh, well, we'll look for another home, I would roll my eyes and go, well, I mean, sure, once in a blue moon, but it's unlikely.
I agree. I think now it's a bit different. We've seen how many things have come back.
Yeah, and I think the fact that Alcon make it themselves, and I think the fact that Netflix already have the international rights to it in several countries.
I agree, yeah.
I'm feeling somewhat confident. It's also worth mentioning that Amazon Prime have the VOD rights domestically. So, I don't know which way it'll swing based on those two facts, but either one would be fine.
I agree. I can see it going either way. But like you say, they finance it entirely themselves. So, whoever picks it up is only coming in as a distributor.
Yeah.
And especially with, Netflix and Amazon, they don't need to worry about, primetime slots as to, all right, where do we schedule this?
No, they don't. And it's also, I think it's just the thing with SyFy is that it's never had great viewership live, and from what I was reading from the news, is that it sounds like for SyFy's benefit, they are relying entirely on the live numbers. Not the +3s, not the VOD afterwards. All the VOD goes more to Alcon. SyFy have little to do with that. I mean, it does go on SyFy.com, but from the sounds of it, and compared to other shows, for SyFy as a decision-making process, this entirely rested on the live numbers, which traditionally for sci-fi and genre shows and cult shows is the last place they get their numbers. They get them in VOD, they get them on catch up, they get them on streaming later on. That's where for our cult fans, despite the fact that nerds are supposed to be the ones who don't have active social lives, they're the ones who seem more likely to not watch things live because they have so much content to consume. They like to just pick and choose when to do it.
Yeah, it's true, and I can't really blame SyFy in that sense. I understand from their perspective that this isn't really making them that much.
Yeah, it still hurts because there's just that little bit of you that goes, oh, what if they don't get another place to? What if this is the end?
No, I agree, but I'm relatively positive for now.
I mean, we're still only on the second book right now, and there's 7 of the books.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't think they're done either. I think it is drawing to an end. I recall the creator talking about how once the books are wrapped up, that's it. Like there's not going to be other writers coming in. Like he's got an ending in mind, and that's cool. But still, damn, horrible news today, and also Brooklyn Nine-Nine as well. Internet's upset today.
I hate May.
And it's very upset. Find more of this on the weekly TV news, which is coming early Saturday from us. We will be talking about lots of renewals and cancellations. I've already assembled a list. There's quite a big list of renewals and cancellations, and there's bound to be more by the time we record because Friday's the deadline for a lot of ABC shows. So fun stuff. But that is all.
We may have to push the news as late as possible just to see if anything else slips in.
Yeah, pretty much. But
it's also going to be a case of check afterwards.
So here's hoping Expanse continues on another home. And, well, obviously I'm worried because I hate to be in this situation. I have a general good feeling that we probably will get more.
Here's hoping.
I'm feeling confident. At least hopeful. I'm feeling more hopeful than normal with these things. So here's hoping. But anyway, so let's talk about the episode at hand. And it feels like the entire last 3 episodes have been building up to get to Io, and everything's been kind of like going towards there. Now that Agatha King with Wynn in charge on that ship is heading towards there. Obviously the Rassie's been heading towards there for a while, and it's all coming up. And this entire episode is itself kind of just built up until everything went down towards the end. Although, interestingly enough with the Rassi crew themselves, I think if I was going to make one criticism of this episode in terms of payoff, is that the Rassi crew themselves kind of end in this weird, oh, we almost got there, and then, oh, your stuff's next episode.
It feels really weird. It's like, well, we were close. They just watch it happen, essentially. I'm like, okay.
However, the Agatha King was full of interesting stuff, full of really captivating stuff, and I think what's interesting for me is that other than Souther, who's we met a couple of times and he's been here this season, and we know that Avasarala trusts him, that he's a noble man, and so on. All the other characters that we kind of end up caring about on that ship, we only really know from this episode. I mean, sure, I'm sure they're around for the previous episode we've had on this.
Yeah, but we haven't had much context for them.
Yeah, but they did a good job of like just quickly building these two officers up. You know, the EXO and the comms, and just kind of like getting us to know who they are just a little bit, and know that they're loyal to Souther, so that when everything went down towards the end of the episode, because there's no stuff on Earth this episode. There's no Anna, there's no Erin Wright, none of that. It is mainly these ships. There's obviously a little bit of Mao and what's going on in Io as well, but it's mainly the two ships.
And a little bit on the Martian ship.
Oh yeah, I was kind of lumping that in with the UN ship because
they're very related. Yeah,
it's all one plot. In fact, worth mentioning, last week, I mean, I didn't pull you up on it, so I'm going to take some of the blame, but I'm mostly blaming you for assuming that the Martian message got through, and that's why Anna got the comms with the Erin Wright tape.
All right. Could have just left it.
Well, no, because see, I maybe wouldn't if but I'm on record in the comments of agreeing with people who disagreed with you. So at the very least, I said it before the episode aired, and it was proven that you were wrong.
Fine, I was. I'm not arguing.
If you saw any way you could argue, you'd take it.
I probably would, but on this one, it's pretty definitive.
Yeah, it is. Because we see on the Martian ship, he gets there, and superior officers are asking about it. And obviously, the captain's the one who seems a little bit more just receptive to what he's saying, even though she still has her doubts. And it's not until during the actual conflict where they go off to chase the Agatha King because it's going towards Io. And we get to this big sort of stalemate where they're close enough now, they're both in firing range. Right, the Martian range have them in firing range first, presumably because they have better tech. Because that's been the whole premise of Mars, is that they have better weapons and equipment.
Yeah,
and technology.
they're a military system.
And because a big thing on the UN ship is that they're saying, "Hey, they could have fired on us already. Like, why haven't they fired? Like, we're almost in range of them. Are we going to fire?" And obviously, Wynn's corrupt, and he's ready to do his thing. And throughout the episode, we have these two other officers talking to Souther, saying, "Hey, if you wanted to make a move, we've got your back." Yeah, you have allies on this ship, and he's like, "Make a move. Do you know what you're saying?" And he's like, "Yeah." And eventually, of course, he gets the message. Like they intercept this message for the Mars ship, the Erin Wright tape, and he sees it, and he's like, "You know what? I'm going to go confirm this." And he actually goes to see Kotyar again. And instead of like doing a whole charade where he gets the lights turned off and he tells they sort of distract the guard, he's just like, "Get the F out my way, son."
Yeah, he's like, "I'm an admiral, move."
And he walks in and he's like, "Hey, so what was on that tape? You said that message you got." And he basically says enough that he's like, "Okay, this is valid. This is the same thing. These two correlate with each other." Yeah. And he's like, during everything going off, like they do have a bit of a sort of immunity moment where the officers kind of like grab some guns, they point some guns at Wynn and some people that are supporting him, and Souther takes the comms and he puts it out to both all of his fleet, all of the UN fleet and all of the Martian fleet, and basically explains, "No, we're standing down. There's evidence here that I'm going to beam over to you."
Yeah, they keep saying, "No, this isn't a legal war."
And I have to admit, like as he started talking, I got this feeling. I'm like, I don't think he's going to be alive much longer. I had that feeling.
It's the way it's filmed, isn't it?
Yeah. I didn't expect it to happen as abruptly as it did, though, with Wynn just going for him. And obviously, but, I mean, by the end of the episode, like all the officers we grew to care about this episode all die. Like, and quite, they get shot at first. And there's one point where the female officer's like crawling along the floor, and Wynn just like executes her, like mercilessly. It's
Wynn doesn't come out of it, undamaged though.
Oh no, yeah, he gets hit, but he's like, But I think there's a real nice camaraderie that comes out of these scenes that I really liked, where, like, he gives a couple of orders. The rest of the crew are following them. You know, we're arresting these couple for this attempted mutiny, and obviously we're still in the shock of Sutter. And Sutter has impact because we like him a bit, and he was fighting for the right side. But then when he orders to fire upon their own ship, it's like because some of the ships in the fleet just aren't coming back. They've basically heard what Sutter said. He's a respected admiral. You know what? We're not going to go into this fight.
They're taking him at his word instead of win.
And he orders that they fire on this ship. And the guy at the controls is just... He doesn't say anything, but he's like, no. Basically, it's not happening. And, you know, he gets so frustrated that he demands anyone else who's not willing to, like, you know, follow orders should step forward now. And, like, almost everyone on the bridge stands up and steps forward. Like, they're not willing to do this. And he puts them all on the brig. But that's kind of the big thing here. And it's... You know, obviously over in the Martian ship, you've got the XO being like, hey, we should fire, like, it's a bloody war, it's a war. And instead, the captain actually puts out a message to the UN fleet and said, because at this point, there's basically a UN civil war going on in the sky, you know, between the ships. They're firing on each other. There's the pro-Southern and the anti-Southern ships fighting each other.
Yeah.
And the Martian ship puts out a message saying, hey, we are not engaging in this conflict. Any Earth ship that announces itself as seeking refuge and help, we are here to back you up. And it's kind of like, all right, okay, level heads are prevailing here. Like, this is like
shockingly so.
This is my favorite part of all this is that certain people, not everyone, of course. Obviously, there's one who. It's not so much that he's an idiot in wartime. He's got his own agenda. He's doing his own private thing, and that's why he's forcing things.
In cahoots with Ehrenreich.
Yeah, and you know he's there to pick up stuff from Mao. He's there to get the proto-molecule hybrids and everything else.
Exactly.
But I do like that, you know, the captain on the Martian ship, again, and we've seen this before from various people on the show, who have a level head and are trying to avoid conflict. Yeah, sure, we'll kick ass if the occasion calls for it, but we don't go looking for it. We try and dismantle situations as best we can, and I really like that there's people on the UN ship who said, no, we're not following these orders, this is an illegal war, this is just going for battle for no reason.
Yeah.
And then you get the Martian captain saying, no, look, any UN ship who clearly indicates they want help and they are wanting assistance, we will give it. Basically saying we will fight in the side of the half that are fighting against the attack.
Yeah, essentially, okay, we'll fire on some UN ships, but the ones that want this war, essentially, so if you want this war, we will take you out. But if you're like, hey, yeah, we don't really want to do this, then, you know, come join us. Because
at first she actually justifies not intervening, because she's like, hey, like, if we attack them, they'll just unite and turn their guns on us. We're better off just letting them fight each other. But then, and that's a reasonable, it's sort of like...
There's a logic to it.
Yeah, morally it keeps her kind of in the right, because she's not getting involved and getting more of her own fleet destroyed. But and even if it does sound a little bit cold, it's still like, it's not cold that I disrespect her for it, but at the same time she goes that one step further and says, no, any UN ships who flag themselves as wanting assistance and are not wanting to attack us, we will help you. Yeah. And you know, I appreciate that. This captain's not someone I think we've seen before, at least if we have, not to any great extent.
I don't recall any.
I recognise the XO, though. The XO's been around.
Yeah?
Yeah, I recognise his face. I don't know maybe if I've seen him in this or if he's been in another show or something, but...
It didn't strike me as overly familiar, but, I mean, I could have just forgotten him.
Yeah. Do you know what's funny? I saw him and I went... I basically, in my head, called him not Kevin Spacey, and then I thought, oh, that's a compliment now. But he does have a kind of a Kevin Spacey look to him.
He does, yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, unfortunate now for him, I'm sure, but, so...
Hey, someone's got to fill that void.
So that's all goes down, and, you know, again, like, this really felt like, you know, okay, so Wynn's going to get away with all this, he's doing all these devious things, and while everyone kind of dies for it to happen, they basically really screw his plan. Like, he might still just get out with the cargo and, like, you know, fly off, but this did not go smoothly. Like, he came in thinking, I'm the big admiral in command, I'm in charge, and he had all this chaos on his hands, and he's got dead bodies. Like, I really felt the weight of just how badly this went for him.
Oh yeah, he just screwed it up big time.
Yeah, so that was immensely entertaining. But obviously all the build up before we get to any of this, though, just to sort of go over to our crew, the Rassi crew. There's lots of little neat things. I'm really liking the build up of the I don't like to call it a bromance, doesn't feel the right word, but Amos and Pax.
Yeah, bromance doesn't quite fit because I think Amos is just too aggressive compared to Prax to play as a bromance.
Yeah, well, it's not even so much that. I feel like it's this kind of weird... Obviously, you've got the teacher-student kind of relationship, but I feel like Amos is someone who doesn't really connect to new people all that much, right? Obviously, it took him a long time to like warm up to Holden, and he was very much with Naomi, and then Naomi kind of betrayed him a little bit, and he kind of switched to, I'll follow the captain's orders. Like, he's kind of like switched over to Holden, and it's not like he's against Alex either. So he's definitely part of the crew. He cares about his crew.
Yeah, but it has often felt like he's serves one master at a time, so to speak.
And I feel like with Prax, he kind of like, that scene where they're about to land in Io and he's like, hey, no matter what happens down there, I've got your back.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's this kind of thing where he finally has, because obviously we've talked about how he has this attachment or a sympathy for children, more so than he does adults. And I feel like because this is about a child and because he's sort of relaying through Prax, he does actually care in this case. This is actually Amos learning to care about something, essentially, and being like, you know what, this is not just about following orders. Like, I have your back down there. Like, I am looking out for you. It's like he's taking him under his wing, and there's like there's some sort of big brother bond going on, I guess, is what I'm getting at more than anything else.
That kind of fits.
Yeah. The tough big brother who can't emote very well, but he's, he'll be the Terminator for him when the time comes.
Pretty much.
And of course, Prax is like, yeah, if I don't get my daughter, I'll get even. Like you said, next best thing. And it almost looked like Amos's reaction to that line was like, yeah, that does sound like something I'd say, but I don't know if I'm proud that you just said it.
Yeah, it's like he's rubbing off on him, but he's not happy that he is.
Yeah, it's kind of that. It's that classic trope, and this is a good trope. I like this trope, but it's the classic trope of, oh, I'm like this, like badass, but I'm awful because of it. I don't want my child to end up like me. I want them to be better than me. It's got that kind of vibe
it does,
to it.
Yeah.
So no, I like that, and it's a good learning curve for Amos, because if he acknowledges that his behaviour in someone else is not something he wants to see, then does he reflect on himself and at least understand who he is better?
Quite possibly, yeah.
So no, it's a good little piece.
And then of course you can take the route of him accepting that what he is not necessarily good, but someone has to do it, so he might as well. Yeah, he still might. It's him.
Yeah, he still might see himself as I'm a necessary evil, but no one else should end up like me. It's kind of that Batman thing, right? Where he's like, I step in with Dick Grayson because I don't want him to end up as broken as I am. As much as I'm doing a lot of good, no one else should have to be like me.
Right, exactly. Yeah. He tries to make him better.
Yeah. So that's really good stuff. And then if you jump over, there's a really good scene with Naomi and Holden, where she actually, like, okay, I get what I did was shitty, and I don't regret doing it, but I regret not debating it. Telling you and the rest of the crew. And she reveals that she had a son, and she was with someone, and they took her son. And that was actually presumably not too long before. I mean, I don't know how long she was on the cant when we started the show, but
yeah, she says that was the reason she went and joined there. So it kind of been long before that.
Maybe a year. I could see her maybe been on the cant for a while, like that. Going back and forth.
She might have been. Yeah. She seemed, at home there.
Exactly. Yeah. So I could see it being kind of like that. But no, it was an emotional scene. It kind of feels like they're bonding again, and we'll see maybe where that goes. It feels like she really wants to repair and mend the broken bridges, because it feels like everyone in the crew, including Amos, is kind of like disconnected from her right now.
Yeah,
because of what she did.
Definitely, it was the most emotional scene she's had in a while. Opening up like that.
And it neatly paired with the Avasarala scene, because Avasarala talks to Holden, and that's one of the subjects that comes up, because she basically admits, we need the proto-molecule, and it's like Naomi was right, and he's like, oh yeah, she was right. It's like, yeah, she's a smart girl, and I was like, okay, so that kind of it's almost like he's respecting her a little bit more again, because she is right about things, she is calling these things.
Yeah, he understands the actual action, if not just the way she goes about it.
But my favourite part of this conversation, and I thought this was a really good scene, because Avasarala, because she can be, because just to put out a funny line from The Martian, when he was
I want to get to that scene. Yeah. That was my favourite scene.
When he was asked about her, because he's saying who was, Holden was there, and Draper was there, the traitor, and Avasarala was there, and he's like, oh, what was she like? He's like, she's kind of mean.
I think I liked her. that scene cracked me up, because he's going through it, and you just have the captain and the officer there going, what is this guy on? And it's like, you don't believe me. It's like, well, it's a bit far-fetched, isn't it? All these people on the one ship.
I don't think it ever occurred to me how far-fetched this story was going to sound once he got to his command.
What was cracking was every time he said someone, it's just like, so it's all that disgraced, I can't remember what they called him. They had a specific title for him. And then it was like, oh, and there was a Martian there, Bobby Jeffers. Like, the dessert. It just kept going like that.
Yeah.
Like they had these titles for everyone. It was like,
all,
I don't
all,
buy this.
all these important people, because I think he says, like, who else was there? Santa Claus or something like that. He has a,
The Easter Bunny, I think was what.
he has a sarcastic line pointing out how ridiculous this all sounds.
Yeah.
But that was good stuff. But to go back to the Avasarala scene with Holden, I really love. In fact, just one more point in The Martian. I liked it when he saw the defaced posters of Avasarala, along with Ehrenreich and other people from Earth, saying, Martians first or whatever it was. Like it hit him a little bit because like now that he's met her, she's a human being to him and not just like a faceless.
Not a target.
Yeah, not faceless, not just a face with an agenda on TV.
She's an essential person.
Yeah, so I thought that was a nice little beat. Just played to the humanity of it. But she's talking to Holden, and she there's a great line towards the end where they're talking about children, burning down things just as well as any adults, and she says, "You're not a child, Holden, and I don't suspect you ever were one. So stop acting like it." And I really like that line, and it was really interesting to me because basically what she's saying is that he is trying to, because she's always like thinking about Earth and she's always thinking about the conflict, and she even admits in this scene, I'm not even just trying to protect Earth right now. I'm trying to protect humanity. Like, this could all go very badly with this proto-molecule stuff. Earth needs a sample to study it, but also be in the arms race with everyone else, for the obvious reasons.
Yeah, we were discussing that a lot last week.
And But ultimately it becomes about how she is constantly thinking about trying to do the right thing and protect people and be, I don't want to use the word hero, but because that's not necessarily what it is, but just be someone who's looking out and making the choices that need to be made. And Holden's kind of like shying away from that. He's like, I've tried being a hero, I've tried saving the world, and it doesn't work. And we've seen
every time he keeps shutting himself in to be selfish, but then something comes up and he can't help himself.
Yeah, and of course, that was the thing last week with Naomi, like her saying, "Hey, you just can't help yourself, can you?" So, or was it 2 weeks ago? Wherever that scene was. But it's the same kind of thing. If Avasarala is looking at him in the eye and saying, "No, you're pretending to be an ignorant child, but you're not. You are someone who is mature enough and capable enough of being a part of the decision making here and trying to improve things. And just because you failed, you still tried, and that's what matters. That makes you worthy of trying again and being a part of this." And I like this pep talk. It was a very Avasarala pep talk, and I'm going to shit on you a little bit to make it.
It was very insulting, wasn't it?
Yeah, but that's how she does that. That's how she motivates
and
people.
I suspect, in the sense that he'll stop shutting himself down and actively be like, okay, I'm not going to hide away from helping everyone.
Yeah, I feel like a reinvigorated Holden who wants to make a difference is kind of where we're ultimately heading.
Kind of where we started, right? That was him, with his best intentions of, I want to save these people. It kind of is,
but
no
I feel like
what.
That's what makes it a fascinating journey to me. Is that he was naive at first and just wanted to do the right thing, which is noble, but naive. Yeah. And then he's went through the tough learning of like what it actually takes and what can go wrong, and like basically taking responsibility for your actions when they do go wrong and when it doesn't work out, and understanding the weight of that, so that when he comes back round to wanting to do the right thing, he understands more the implications, he understands the gravitas of what he's doing, and he might still fail, but he can accept that, no, it's worth trying.
Yeah, I think it's the idea that it's easier to do the right thing when you're naive, because you don't know any better. You don't know what can go wrong.
Yeah.
Whereas choosing to do it despite all of that,
and despite a lot more. Despite knowing that it's hard. It's that thing, it's courage is not the absence of fear, it's the presence of fear yet the will to go on. It's that old sentimentality. So, I think they're doing there was some great character work in this episode, I thought.
Yeah, definitely.
And I watched this before I heard about the cancellation, by the way, so I didn't have this weird air of like, oh god, please don't let this be the end as I was watching it.
Joe, I finished it and then saw the news.
Okay,
5 minutes after I finished. Yeah. I was like, oh, damn it.
Yeah, that's just kicking the gut. Now, I did think it was morbidly funny that just as they're getting towards Io, they see Jupiter in range. We're actually getting there. I'm like, oh, we're finally getting there. And just as that's happening, we get the scenes with Mao, and it's basically like, we'll go back to what the first dude said, the first kid, who aged a lot with this proto-molecule, by the way. He's like, 18 looking now.
Yeah, it seems to have just completely reshaped his body.
Yeah, it does, because he's got a deeper voice. I'm like, okay, this is a different actor, but obviously it's very intentional. This is meant to be this metamorphosis that he's went through.
Yeah.
And it's almost like after he mapped the human body of the adult, he's like, okay.
That's what I need to be.
Yes, adult size.
Yeah, repurpose into that.
Yeah, but there was this almost dark. I almost laughed just from like a TV writing point of view that we're finally getting close to the daughter, but that's when Mao decides, oh, they're the best subject to like replace him. Oh, it's May. All right, get her on the table, and she's literally been strapped to the table as the Ras is coming towards the.
Yeah. I really appreciated that Mao hesitated.
Yeah.
Because as much as he went through with it, at least that the arc that he's just been through wasn't ignored. He did genuinely consider whether or not he wanted to do this.
And I think that's what gives it weight, though. I think if we'd not went through that arc and he just kind of went with it, or if he hesitated, the hesitation would have just played as... It would have played as an okay little moment on its own, but because we actually saw him care and seem to want to help the children, having him go back and all that and just say, no, do it anyway, hits.
Yeah, it does. It makes him, a more relatable in the sense of, I now believe he's doing this not because of he wants power, but because he genuinely believes he has to. Because we saw how he did care for the kids. It's not just, they're disposable anymore, which they were before. They felt like they were just a means to an end.
Yeah, but I think we're still very up in the air. Given what he's willing to do, it definitely feels more along the lines of like something like I always make comic book references. Sorry, I already made a Batman one this week, but it feels like kind of like Lex Luthor, where he has this greater good in mind, but he is willing to do all these awful things.
Absolutely, I'm not defending what he's doing, but I think he genuinely believes in what he's doing, and it's not just a power play like it seemed before.
Yeah, okay, I can see that. I'll be curious to see how that plays out. And we never get to see if they go through with it. We see her getting strapped to the table, but we don't know if they get interrupted, because obviously they hear the noise of the ship landing, but they don't.
Yeah.
And so
we have no context yet.
I'm expecting a tragic discovery that she's already blue when we get to her. And
I think that has the most drama in it, doesn't it?
It does, because I don't know, like, as much as it'd be nice, I really want him to get his daughter back and then just leave the ship and go and be happy.
But being like 5 minutes too late is kind of...
Yeah.
It's the easiest drama point, and it's the easiest way to keep Prax with the crew.
Which, by the way, I got really excited, because during while they're on their way, it just cut to like Draper, and she's like, gearing up her suit, and she's like
talking to Alex like, "Where's all your explosive stuff?"
Yeah, and she's like getting weapons, and I'm like, "Oh man," because she starts asking questions like, "How did you kill it? Like, what did you do? What's the tactics?" And he's like, "Oh, we lured it with the because it gets it goes towards nuclear energy and stuff." It's and she's like, "Okay," and obviously he gets concerned. Oh no, if we see these things, we run. We can't deal with them. But I'm like, "No, Draper's gonna be a badass."
She's like, "I know the plan," and then she's walking around going, "God damn it, these won't work with my effing RPGs." She's got RPGs just ready to go.
I love that she's gearing up like Iron Man, going ready for this fight. She wants to fight them. It's just so good.
It's going to be a hell of a showdown.
Yeah, when we finally get the Draper in the mech suit, well, it's not quite a mech suit, but in the armor suit. Exosuit, there you go. That's the correct term. I need my sci-fi suit terms.
Yeah, you need to brush up on this a bit.
Apparently, I do. Exosuits, mech suits.
Yeah, they're all different.
Flat out mechs, which is also very different. That's a giant robot. Well, it doesn't have to be giant, but it has to be at least.
It has to be controlled, but not from inside.
Well, it can still be controlled from inside. It's just you don't actually slip into the arms and legs. I guess is the best way to say it.
Yeah.
You're controlling from like a cockpit almost inside, if you will.
Yeah. It's got a control system rather than just being an extension.
Yes, it is. Whereas an exosuit. Your arms and legs are actually in it. A mech suit is also arms and legs in the bits, but it tends to be bigger and tends to be more robotic.
Yeah.
This is getting really nerdy. But they get there and they have trouble getting into the door, and it's just right at the end of the episode they're melting their way into the control panel, and we just see all the presumably again this is what they theorized at the time, and it seems like a plausible assumption at this point is that they're jettisoning in little pods all of the hybrids and proto-molecule beings that they have.
Yeah, I would hesitate to say they're all the hybrids because it seemed like they didn't have that many of them.
Yeah, but I'm assuming maybe
it's mostly just the kids.
Yeah, it'll probably be the other children. It might even be Mao and that themselves going up to the ship potentially. I don't know. We'll see next week when they break in and what's there, because I assume it's only have a look. There's a way to have a look and see what's there.
Might as well see what because they clearly rushed out of there, so they must have left something behind.
So, no, interesting things. But one thing we have to go back to, though, is that the previous proto-molecule kid did kind of like imply there is something happening. There's work that is
something.
Yeah, there's work that is nearing completion, And Mau's very curious about this, and he's like, "Are you talking about Venus? Are you talking about Venus? You know, because taking part of the ship and looking at it, that's exactly what you did with the body, because that's great. He puts two and two together, and I'm like, okay, this is interesting. What are they doing? What are they doing on Venus?
And I keep thinking repurposing. What are they repurposing the ship into?
I don't know. It does make me wonder. Like, does the proto-molecule want like a home base? Like, is Venus going to become proto-molecule planet? Like, because it can survive the heat. I mean, it's proto-molecule. It's fine.
Well, I mean, we know it's active down there. It's working down there. It's fine.
With Miller and Julie.
Yeah.
Probably still alive because proto-molecule.
I'm sure we're going to see them at some point.
I'm sure we're going to see them. I mean, maybe the finale or something like that now. I may not be like it too soon, but who knows?
It's even this season.
Yeah, and it's worth mentioning. I don't say that because that upsets me.
I know.
We might not get another one. At one point, Avasarala is watching the news. They're still covering the Venus stuff. Yeah. So now again, the world's ticking over. No, that was a solid episode. Probably my favourite of the season. I think the drama of the actual sort of mutiny, if you will, even though that's maybe not technically, it is from Wynn's perspective, but
Yeah, I think I preferred last week's a little bit with the the ship takeover.
Okay.
But this is still very good. It's up there. It's probably my second favourite.
Yeah. All the character progression, I thought, all those scenes on the Rassi going towards it, really felt like we're building up to like, this big thing. Which is why I say the only minor complaint is that it feels like the Rassi crew just kind of like don't have a payoff at the end. Yeah. But I'm sure we'll get some cool stuff with them next week.
I think that's probably the point, is that, okay, they're not always going to make it in time.
That's true.
Sometimes we miss. I get that, but it's a little unsatisfying as a viewer.
It's a dramatic point worth making, I think. This is the sort of thing that on a rewatch, when we're binging it, it's going to be not a deal at all. But when you're watching one episode a week and you feel like it's building up to them getting into the action, and then it just it's pulled out from under you. But I guess that's again kind of the point. So that's why I say it's a minor critique. It's not really a big critique because it feels like it is the point. But still worth mentioning. But hey, that is The Expanse, Season 3, Episode 5. Hopefully not the last season. Obviously, we'll be paying close attention to any news of it being picked up elsewhere. We will
certainly update with anything.
You know, Netflix, you know how you basically took Travelers after 2 seasons and made it a Netflix show? Here's do that again. Go for
it. You don't have to put much money into it. Just a licensing fee.
Yeah, they make it themselves. Just pay for the licensing fee and go for it. And you've got a worldwide market. You can dangle those fruit.
The beauty of it is, we talked about how Netflix have the international rights for a lot of places. They know exactly how this performs. They know what the data on this is.
Oh yeah.
They know whether or not this is going to be good for them.
They have in fact, you know what? Cancel Altered Carbon. Give them all that money.
Yeah, go for it. and I would say essentially, depending on where you live, if it's if it's Amazon or Netflix for you, with the rights, go and just put it on, boost those numbers a little bit.
It's worth mentioning, Alcon make all the money from sales as well. So if you buy on iTunes or you buy a Blu-ray, that profit is Alcon, who make the show and want to continue it. So
which I think this shows it's clearly profitable for Alcon. Because they're saying, no, we're going to keep making this. Yeah. They want to. They just need a distributor.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's the hopeful part of it, right? That's the hopeful. Right. So there you go. That is as this week's Expanse. Let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel and all our reviews and stuff, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. Worth going over there anyway. There's a list of all the audio feeds and everything else and all the shows we have. There's a few Patreon exclusive things. Some of which there's free samples of and stuff, so you can go check stuff out. But go have a look. But otherwise, that is us. And as we said, TV news every week. Typically, it's early Saturday that goes out. So renewals and cancellations news this week, so maybe worth checking out if you've not tried that show before. It's a bit loopier than this one. We tend to tangent a bit more because we're just kind of free, moving through topics and we're not sticking to a show. But go check that out. So otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?